Hey, regular season is over. Let's start October. It's going to be a fun day because there's a little manager carousel action going on today. We're, of course, going to preview series. I've got something special saved up for slap hands. It's just a stat thing. And the brackets are set. Let's take a quick peek, and then we'll get into the breaking news. First off, in the American League, this is your bracket. We'll unveil our predictions tomorrow. Tigers versus Guardians, Yankees versus Red Sox. Those teams have no idea how the other side operates, aside from many times per year. And then don't worry, whoever wins Yankees Red Sox plays a team that they play all the time in the Blue Jays. I'm kidding. I think it's fine. And are you going to Seattle, by the way?
I'm going to Seattle.
It's official?
Yeah, it's official.
All right, we can officially
Unless something crazy happens, which I don't know what that craziness would be, but as of right now, as of what I was told, to book my ticket to Seattle for Seattle Guardians, Tigers, whoever comes out. And then it's the AL East versus, last year, remember, it was the AL Central versus the Yankees. Now it's the AL East versus the other rest of the league.
You're going to get, well, I was going to say you're going to get the late night. I mean, you are.
Well, we're definitely getting the late. Well, here's the thing. We're not on Saturday, there's 4 games. So we're definitely going to be the latest game, probably. Because the Dodgers will be on the road.
Yeah.
If they win.
I mean, Saturday's a day where you can pull off a day game with the crowd, and it's easier.
In Seattle?
Yeah. Although
you can't start it before 4 o'clock Eastern.
No.
So
12.
And then Sunday.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to do that to them.
I don't think they'll do that. I think it'll be the late game, and then Sunday will probably be a 4 o'clock Pacific start or 5 o'clock Pacific.
Is there a football game?
There's a football game at 1 o'clock.
So they're going to go
Pacific, 1 o'clock Pacific.
Right, but in my mind, they're going to go as late as possible then to have some separation. No,
you would think, yeah. That's what I'm thinking. 5 o'clock Pacific, maybe.
Because that's still 8 Eastern. That's okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Time game.
Yeah.
Well, are you going to have it at 4 o'clock and go up against the football team, and then have the Yankees and the Blue Jays or Red Sox Blue Jays as the later game?
They like Sunday night, I think, better than Sunday afternoon with stuff anyway, because then you have less football going on.
Yeah, and I think but here's the thing. Here's the problem with Toronto. They don't get all the ratings because
I know.
Toronto and you get Sportsnet. So in Toronto, it's a weird. Anyways, I digress. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what the times are. I just know this. I already have my passes for the Seahawks-Bucks game on Sunday lined up. And if there might be a chance, depending on the game time, I might be the ball boy for the first half or something.
We'll double dip and then tell everybody.
Depending on what time the game is.
Yeah, go home and watch the game on Fox if you're not hopping over across. And then real quick, National League, and we'll get into previews and all of that. But the Reds and the Dodgers, and then the Padres and the Cubs, Phillies and Brewers waiting. Phillies waiting for the Dodgers or the Reds. Brewers waiting for the Cubs or the Padres. Ready for some breaking news? Let's hit it.
Charging the mound.
Bob Melvin. Boom. Breaking news. Bob Melvin is fired by the San Francisco Giants. They have been the definition of 500 the past couple seasons. 81-81 this season. 161 and 163 over the last couple years. Buster Posey, running the front office ship, said after careful evaluation, we determined making a change in leadership was in the best interest of the team. Last couple months have been disappointing and frustrating for all of us. We did not perform up to our standards. We now turn our focus to identifying a new leader to guide us forward, a.k.a. Posey's in charge, AJ, and he gets to pick his own manager this time.
Yeah, he didn't pick Bob Melvin. Remember, he inherited Bob Melvin. So you had to give him a run. And then when you got people like Logan Webb coming out saying this is the most talented team we've ever had and we didn't make the playoffs, that hurts your chances, but Buster Posey's not here to mess around, people. If we didn't know that by now, we know it now, and he's going to find somebody, and I don't know who he's going to pick, but there's a lot of people that you could look at. I mean, there's a list from Susan Slusser, David Ross, Bruce Bochy, Skip Schumacher, Mark Hallberg, their first base coach. I don't know. We'll see what they do, but Buster Posey, the ball is in your court.
I don't know how Buster could go to somebody who doesn't have any experience. I don't feel like the Giants are, one, a team that wants to have somebody with little experience, two, in a situation. Like, they built this team to win, not just this year, but next year with getting Robbie Ray in that one trade, with getting Adames, extending Matt Chapman. Those are all, well, not the Robbie Ray stuff, but this kind of is their window, and they need to add to this team. It's got to be somebody, his buddy, the first base coach, Hallberg. I don't see your first-time manager being that guy. Before Bob Melvin got that job, Bob kind of came out of nowhere for that job after the Padres got rid of him. It was going to be Stephen Vogt. Stephen Vogt was going up to San Francisco. Look at what he's done since he's been in Cleveland. Could that have happened? Maybe Buster sees a diamond in the rough somewhere with somebody and he doesn't need to go. To me, I think that the top candidate should be Skip Schumacher. He's real. Buster's real. He's had success.
I love Skip. There's a problem, though.
He works for the Rangers?
No, he's not a catcher.
Oh, well, that doesn't matter.
Do you think Buster Posey wants a catcher? I say it half jokingly, but no?
He wants somebody that's like him. Focused, able to connect with people, but also knows how to win. That's it. He doesn't want eyewash. There's a couple people on this list, I'm not going to name them, that are eyewash. And I don't think Buster's about that life. Catcher, outfielder, first base coach, whatever. I think he would want a certain type of manager to come in. And I think that certain type of manager is closer to his personality than the look at me type of manager.
The great Susan Slusser has put out a list in her column of possible replacements. That's what Kratz is talking about here. Bruce Bochy, Skip Schumacher. I wanted to pause so maybe you guys can answer after I give the rest. David Ross, Mark Hallberg, who's the first base coach and is tight with Buster. And then the next layer of the list, she puts Javier Lopez, Nick Hundley, Randy Wynn, Kurt Casale, Craig Albernaz, who's the Guardians' assistant manager and worked on Kapler's Giants staff, although that doesn't have much to do with Posey. And Casale in parentheses. They don't
want nothing to do with anybody that was on Gabe Kapler's staff.
That's what I'm saying. But Casale could be the Stephen Vogt move. That's what's in the
Craig.
Here.
I like Craig. I think he's probably a manager in waiting, but don't put his name with Gabe. Don't. That's like putting anybody on the White Sox staff with their ex-manager. Just don't put certain people's names. It tarnishes them. Okay.
Who's the pick? Who's the predicted pick? List? And who would you pick?
It's not going to be Bochy. Bochy.
Why?
I just don't think he would do that. He doesn't want to tarnish his rep. He doesn't want to do that.
You think he's like, I'm a legend?
I think if he's out this time, he's out. David Ross, I don't know. That's a fit. Hallberg seems like the good one. Buster knows him better than anybody. Javi Lopez, why? Because he's on TV. Nick Hundley, because he's around. Randy Wynn, because I'm an ex-Giant. Hire me, Buster. I'm in it. Hi, I played for the Giants. My number's retired, Buster. I was a catcher. I click all the criteria.
Barry Bonds raising his hand. I played.
That's right.
I'll manage.
Yeah.
No.
I don't think Barry's doing that.
Who do you think's the guy then on this list? I
think Albernaz would be a good one.
Okay.
And I think Hallberg are probably out of this list would be my top two that I'm looking at on this list.
Kratz?
I like Skip. I think if Buster truly would interview Skip, obviously this is just a Susan Slusser list. I think there'd be a good connection there. If Skip doesn't want the Rangers job, if Boch leaves. So there's a little bit of that.
Okay, and then the next layer for the Giants is how do they get over the hump?
Hey, they had two guys hit 30 homers this year. Rafi and Willie Adames did it.
They didn't really count Devers.
I know, but still.
Adames really did it.
Adames hit 30.
He hit 30. First Giant since Barry Bonds in 2004? Is that what it was? I think it was 4.
No, the year I was there. See,
the
Buster,
year you were there.
Another connection.
Mm-hmm.
AJ's my choice. AJ's my choice from that list.
First
Fans
righty.
would love that in San Francisco if they hired me.
Cheer to no end. It would make noise to no end. First righty since Jeff Kent in 2002. So Adames ended up with 30 homers.
On the number. We thought it would be Soler, and it was Adames. Remember Adames? Everyone said Adames wasn't having a good year. He ended up right about where he should have been.
He did.
Rafi played 163 games. It's a record. I forget when the last time somebody played 163 games in a season. It's a pretty cool record.
Justin
Wish
Morneau.
other teams could have gotten played 163, but
Justin Morneau did it against 2008.
is that what it was?
And
Mm-hmm.
the Giants had pretty good attendance. I didn't see final numbers, but it was definitely up this year. And I think that had to do with Posey and bringing in names that are going to be there for a while. I truly believe in that. So I think Buster might play a little bit more checkbook baseball over the offseason.
If they let him.
If they let him. But I think he has their ear better than most do, right?
True.
It's tougher to tell Buster no, especially when he looks back and says, listen, guys, I just came in. I got you a superstar name in Devers. I got you higher attendance. I'm sure the team made good money this year. Let's keep spending and let's get some more help for this team because they were close. That's a 500 team. So they won 82 games or 81 games. Sorry, 81 and 81. The team that made the playoffs in the National League in the last seat won how many games? 83? Was it 4?
83.
83 games. So they were 2 wins away. It's not very far away.
They need, obviously, you're always going to say this about the Giants. They need to continue to add pop to the lineup. But I think I'm just basing it on Buster's track to the big leagues. They had dudes from the minor leagues that were then supplemented with other guys around them. Now they have guys that are in positions that they brought in and are paying some cashish to. They need guys like Bryce Eldred. They need guys like Tyler Fitzgerald. They need guys like Elio Ramos to take their next step, whatever their next step is for this team to contend. I don't think you can go out and say, okay, we're going to go and get Pete Alonso. We're going to go and get Zach Gallen to pitch for us. Like, I think they do need to add a starting pitcher, and they need to definitely solidify that bullpen. They thought Duvall was going to be the guy. Is Ryan Walker a closer or an eighth inning guy? To me, there's pieces that are there to be able to be a really good defending team. Now they have to add to it. And hopefully this manager comes in and creates that winning environment that Buster expects.
They have a lot. You just rattled off a lot of holes, though.
Yeah, but they're going to be aggressive this offseason, I think. I do. I think their payrolls, it's like, I think middle of the pack from what I remember.
Yeah, listen, they can spend if they want to.
Yeah.
They're the Giants.
They've
But
got
the
cash.
key is, what does Verlander do? Does he come back? How do they figure out the bullpen? Can they find more offense? Can they play better defense? Is Patrick Bailey their catcher? Like, they got some serious questions.
One more to finish this. Bob Melvin, is he going to get another
Yeah,
gig?
he'll find one.
You think
He'll probably
so?
be in the West because he's Arizona, Giants. Where else has he managed? Oakland, San Diego,
Rockies.
Rockies, maybe?
You think he's going to get another gig? You don't think
People
he's
seem to
been
love
doing it
Bob
for a
Melvin.
long time. I think he's 20-something years, 25 years or something managing
love
at
Bob
this
Melvin.
point. Yeah, I mean this with all due respect. I think sometimes you could be a little past your prime where he was thriving with the A's, kind of had some ups and downs
also
with some
never
more
won.
talented rosters.
He's never won.
I know. A World Series, no, not close. I don't think he's ever brought a team to the World Series.
No.
Right?
Which one would he have been with? None of those teams I named made it.
No. The A's had some nice runs during the season to get to the playoffs, but never went over the hump. And I think that was where he really shined with those types of teams. So maybe he's more of a small market rebuild.
The Padres, he got him to the LCS, right?
Yeah, that was the bright shining moment. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure. I don't know if he definitely gets a gig.
Okay.
Just throwing it out there. Let us know thoughts if you're looking at this after the fact, but the Giants are going to be searching for a manager, accepting resumes and applications now. We will be right back. Let's get to some playoff talk. The Mets are not in it. AJ, let's talk steaks. Omaha Steaks, to be precise. Big discounts we'll tell you about coming up in just a sec on the website, but also every steak is perfectly aged to maximize tenderness and hand-cut by master butchers in America's heartland. It's been around since 1917. They know what they're doing.
Absolutely, they know what they're doing. They come prepackaged, perfect sizes, portion size. You can get any kind of cut you want, any kind of meat you want, and it all comes out delicious. You can freeze it, you can thaw it right away. There's hamburgers, there's steaks, there's chicken, there's pork chops, there's everything you could ever want, and it comes out delicious every time.
Save big with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide and an extra 20% off select favorites during their early Black Friday sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code FOUL at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com. Promo code FOUL at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. We love steaks. Get after it. Omaha Steaks all week. We'll talk about them. I'm putting in my order tonight. The Pirates ordered more Don Kelly. He has been extended. I'm not surprised. The Pirates did play better under him, and also Bob Nutting doesn't give a fuck. I'm sorry, it's true.
Nothing against Don. I really do like Don Kelly.
Yeah,
I really. This is really honest. I do like Don Kelly a lot. He's a great guy. He's always been good to talk to. But without even going out, if they want to hire, this kind of goes back to when we talked about the White Sox and how they did it. Like, go outside the organization. At least, like, you could tell Don Kelly, look, we're going to hire you, but we're just going to talk to these other people. But I don't know if maybe they were thinking maybe Don Kelly could get a chance at another job that might pay him more. See, that's kind of where, but you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, Don, we're going to hire you, but we're just going to interview some other people just to get some ideas, and we can use those ideas.
Free info for several days.
I don't know.
The plane tickets were too expensive to pay for people to come into Pittsburgh.
That is true. That is true. That does go against the budget, which would prevent them from signing. They don't do that. Our buddy James Schiano joins us right now. He is co-host with Mark Luino of the Mets'd Up show and podcast. They do a fantastic job covering the Metropolitans all year long. Obviously, you had to be our first guest of this Monday. But I'm hearing a lot of weirdness in the background. You guys hearing that?
I hear.
I hear you guys for a second.
Sounds like somebody's fish tank is reloading.
Yeah.
I got some static coming from you guys. What's going on?
Okay, I think we're better now. Oh, yeah, we're better. I just want to make sure that we get like the proper intro here, and the first answer is the most important. James, what the heck happened to the Mets and their second highest payroll in baseball this year?
I mean, your guys' guess is as good as mine. You saw this happen. It wasn't really a collapse. It was more just watching them bleed out for 3 months. The pitching wasn't good enough. There wasn't enough consistency in the top, middle, or back of the rotation. Situational hitting was bad for a while. It got pretty good. And this weekend, I would say it was poor again. The bullpen completely fell apart. One that we thought should have been one of the better bullpens in baseball after the trade deadline was more like one of the worst bullpens in baseball. Every single thing went wrong. David Stearns, Carlos Mendoza, all of the players, all 47 pitchers that made an appearance this season. Every single person involved with this deserves at least a portion of this blame. It's so hard to even fine-tune and point to some specific thing because it was such an overarching disaster.
You're the day after the season's over. There was a chance that they could have gotten in yesterday with just one victory.
Yeah.
Is it hard to imagine this team actually in the playoffs? Or was it, oh man, remember what we did last year? That was so amazing. We tripped into the playoffs on the last day against the Braves too. We're going to go on an epic run. Or was there definitely the disbelief that this was just not a good team?
I think that belief of last year kind of worked against them because you listen to the way these guys spoke after all of their games, Mendoza, the players, even Brandon Nimmo's availability after the season. It was kind of just like waiting for a switch to flip. You can't really wait for a switch to flip. You have to flip a switch. And I think that there was a bit of a resting on laurels of a team that, like, we know how much talent's in this room. We know how good we are and can be. We know we just did this last year. What the Mets did last year was, I don't even know, it was like a dream-like sequence over and over and over again, like Herculean performances from star players out of sometimes the clear blue sky. And you waiting for that, that's not a sustainable process to win baseball games. I remember listening to you guys a lot last year, being critical of the gimmicky Mets, being like, how can you sustain this kind of motivation mentality when it's all built on gimmicks? At the time, I was a little bit critical of that, didn't really understand what you meant. But now watching this season and seeing their lack of ability to find that internal motivation, I very much understand what you meant. I think it really did, again, work against them this season.
All right. Well, where do we start with what went wrong? I mean, the pitching, obviously, but the hitting didn't hit. They got shut out yesterday. They got shut out, okay? And I know, listen, Perez is good and the Marlins are good and it's a big ballpark, but they got shut out. Maybe they needed Grimace. Where was Grimace? Where was OMG? Where was the pumpkin? Where were all these things? They had none of that this year. They just were like going through the motions. So, I mean, I don't want to – they weren't going through the motions because obviously they care.
No, they're working hard.
But what did they need? Did they need someone to come in from the outside and provide that spark? Because I feel like Carlos Mendoza does a great job trying to lead them and put them. He stays very even keel. They tried Buck Showalter. That didn't work. They went to Mendy. Where do they go next, especially if Alonso and Edwin Diaz are out the door?
I mean, maybe even keeled isn't what this team needed. Maybe they needed some kind of rah-rah, like some kind of activity, some kind of energy. And also, I think it's the difference of going from a team that last year had no expectations on them after the way they began the season to this year entering with all the expectations on yourself. It's the tried and true difference in sports forever of going from being a hunter to the hunted. And I think that when that target got put on the Mets' backs, I don't think they knew how to really aptly respond to it. And even these must-win games over the weekend, like Friday night especially, amazing. Looking back at this Marlins series, the Marlins only scored runs in 2 individual innings and won the series 2-1. And if you can win one more game as the Mets, you go to the playoffs. We're not having these conversations now. We might have these conversations in 3 days because the roster and the team were still flawed. You probably would have gotten just crushed by the Dodgers, but who knows? 3-game series, anything can happen in baseball. But the mental mistakes of Ryan Mauricio not covering a base on Friday, Carlos Mendoza bringing in Gregory Soto to face a slew of right-handed batters. Then Sunday being a little bit maybe too jumpy with the bullpen, taking a guy like Brooks Raley, who's been your second most trusted reliever, out for the entire second half after 10 pitches when one righty's coming up with one guy on first base. Like, it was just, there wasn't a lot of consistency in the decision-making by Carlos Mendoza, and there was even less consistency with all of the pitchers he had at his disposal.
Or wait. Back on June 15th, they lost a game. Wait, no, we can't go over every single individual game, even though we're breaking down this weekend. So I want to go to Juan Soto. When I say Juan Soto, I need your initial, honest reaction.
I mean, if you're going to blame any guy in this team for what happened, it's definitely not him. For as cold as he was to start the season, he lived up to the billing. 950 OPS, 40 home runs. Like, the runners in scoring position stuff was bad early. It got very good late. Sunday, a couple chances that didn't exactly go his way, but that's baseball. You're not getting hit every time you come up, no matter what the dollar sign says next to your name. It definitely is a strange clubhouse thing that was dealt with this year. We're throwing a guy like him into it. I can't remark on that. I wasn't in that room, but it didn't seem like that was something that was strongly working against him. And if it was, that's a poor reflection on everybody in there, because he's so good that we should be able to get over any clubhouse things. Not saying there was one, but it can't be a bad thing that you add Juan Soto to your team. And if it was, then I think everyone else needs to look internally a little bit closer.
I'm going to say what I think should happen this offseason, but what would you do this offseason to switch things up and try and remedy a situation where this team spends a ton of money on their player personnel, right? The Mets are actually the example that's going to be used when we have the annoying salary cap conversations in the offseason, because like half the teams in the top 10 didn't even make it, and the Mets are the prime example. And this has happened 2 times in the last few years where the Mets top 3 in payroll, you're like, no way this team doesn't at least crack the playoffs, and they don't. My thought process is, how do you build a pitching staff like this to crumble in the last few months? This was a slow burn. This wasn't like, oh no, we got blitzed at the buzzer. Like, this was an incredible team for a couple months. And then, you bring on guys that obviously either got hurt or couldn't last and didn't build the depth around it, that you're relying on 3 pitchers who did not expect to be up this season at all. So how do you fix this from a philosophy standpoint? Because I will say, I don't think David Stearns believes in the big money Max Fried type signing, but look what Max Fried is about to do this week.
Yeah, but Freese also the cherry pick. He's the one guy that did work out with the big contract. And it is funny, like, talking about getting blitzed at the end of the season. Like, it's not like the Mets got chased down, like in 2022 when the Braves played 650 baseball for 3 straight months. The Reds were just 40-40 over the last 80 games. You got caught by a 500 team. That's how bad you were. You were one of the worst teams in baseball for 3 straight months. And I feel like we talk a lot about the differences on rosters between, like, the stars and then the scrubs. But then you always have to kind of look at the middle class of a team's roster in terms of payroll. Like, you look at the Mets stars, Soto, Lindor, Alonso. You can't really say much about the performance of those guys this season. Then you look towards the bottom of the roster. You have to be impressed by what Brett Beatty did this season, what Francisco Alvarez did this season. But then the problem is that this middle class of the roster, the guys making between like $20 and $10 million, the guys you're going out, you're giving money to, and they need to perform for you. Starling Marte, $20 million to be a part-time DH who has lost all his athleticism and can't play defense. That's terrible. Brandon Nimmo, $20 million. Good season counting the numbers-wise. Defense took a step back. Arm is a complete liability in the outfield, and his high-leverage stats were abysmally bad. Sean Manaea, another $20 million guy. He was the offseason acquisition to steady the rotation. He did the exact opposite of that. He took a lot of accountability after the game yesterday, being like, if I'm even half as good as I know I can be, we make the playoffs. It's not even a discussion. He was a total failure this season. Edwin Diaz, $20 million. Had a great season. Nothing wrong with Edwin Diaz. Would like to bring him back. Your guy's favorite pitcher in the league, Frankie Montas, $17 million. Don't have to rehash that. Jeff McNeil, $16 million. Kodai Senga, $16 million. AJ Minter, you signed him for $11. He got hurt in April. And then Clay Holmes for $13, who was really useful. And then Jesse Winker for another $8. Like, that entire meat and potatoes of the roster was almost a complete failure. And the funny thing is, like, as we've gone through so many iterations of this Mets franchise under Steve Cohen, I just named guys who were brought in and signed by 3, possibly 4 different executives along the way. So there's still a lot of just garbage and trash in the middle of this roster that needs to be sifted through and siphoned off. And at the same time, none of those guys almost performed up to their standards. If one of those guys performs to their standards, you probably find one more win and we probably get in the playoffs. But it's just a colossal failure from that chunk of the roster through and through.
I mean, I don't even know where to start. I mean, David Stearns, this was supposed to be his specialty, though, cleaning it up. I know it's only his first year, but, you know, he did bring in Montas. He did. He brought in Frankie Montas, and I hate to always go back to him, but he has a track record of being hurt. And guess what? And when he hasn't been hurt, he hadn't been that great except for a little bit. So that's what it is. It is what it is when it comes to that. And some of the other guys, I mean, they're signed. Yes, I know that, but hey, you're the Mets. You're supposed to be able to cover this kind of stuff with your roster. And when you bring in a Juan Soto and you bring in Francisco Lindor and you have a Pete Alonso and you bring all these guys in, Kodai Senga's in AAA. He didn't even pitch. I mean, he could have. So there's a million things. But what I want to dig into is your announcers. You guys love Gary and Ron and Keith, and I get it. Yada, yada. They're the homers, but they will criticize. But yesterday, come on. The Marlins took a picture at the end of the game, and they're like, this is their World Series. What are they doing? Well, guess what? It was the Mets World Series, too, and they got shut out. Or maybe the Mets should have said, if we win, we'll take a team photo, and they wouldn't have got shut out. Like, I don't know. I mean, listen, I do these games. I get it. I get that you're supposed to be a homer, but criticizing another team for celebrating because you're mad you lost seems like kind of a weak way to go about things.
Gary Cohen through and through is a Mets fan. Like, that's how he's
fine.
That's kind of how I think he identifies himself. And you're right about that. I thought that his comments after the game were a tad bit whiny, but I think it was whiny just like when Mark and I came on our podcast this morning. I think we were a little bit whiny. I think if you had to watch this team go through what they went through over the last few months, there were some raw emotions that you felt as someone that loved and supported and were there for this team day in and day out this season. I think also at the same time, during that last broadcast, those last couple of games, Gary, Keith, and Ron were all pretty critical of the players on the field, Carlos Mendoza especially. Ron took some shots, I thought maybe tongue-in-cheek a bit, just the team building in a way. And at the same time, too, looking at the Marlins, they were a team that was alive for the playoffs on Thursday when they lost the game to the Phillies. They had a chance to sweep the Mets this weekend if the Reds would have been swept by the Brewers and actually snuck into the playoffs. Even with that possibility, they pushed back their ace, Sandy Alcantara, for 8 days rest so he could pitch the Friday night home game against the Mets. Rather than when he pitched the Thursday before, push him up on regular rest to pitch the Tuesday and then keep him available for Sunday in what your absolute golden opportunity could have been a must-win game. And the Marlins seem to have forewent that possibility because there's a good chance this was Sandy's last start. And I think they wanted a Friday night home game for their kind of premier player over the last half decade. And I think that's totally fair. But it is interesting when you look at this team like the Marlins, who were like, we're going to give, and again, it's baseball. That's what we're supposed to do. Give everything we have just to ruin these guys' season. I tip my cap to them. I wish the Mets would have given everything they could to save their own season. But it is funny how that happened, especially with the way they organized their pitching matchups for a series that to them meant nothing besides pride. And again, I'm happy they had that pride. The Marlins were a better team than the Mets over the last 2 months by a lot. Connor Norby spoke after the game on Friday, said, we believe we're better than them. And he was right. The last 7 games the Mets and the Marlins played, the Marlins won 5 of them. Like that, you want to look at why you missed the playoffs for the Mets, that's a big reason for it.
Listen, I want to make this clear. I have no problem with the announcer being a homer. I'm all for the local announcer being a homer because they should be a homer, right?
Definitely.
But you don't need to take a shot at the other team. He should have said, man, look at the Marlins, the way they're celebrating. That should be the Mets right now or something. Like, you don't need to take – that was more my thing is like you don't need to take a shot at the other team. Like call out your own team, which they do a good job of, but don't take a shot at the other team, right? Don't take a shot at guys on other teams. Take a shot at your own team if you want to, but that's it. And listen, I love Gary, Ron, and Keith. I think they're one of the most entertaining home team duo or trios or teams in baseball. But I just thought it was kind of weird that they took a shot at the other team for no reason.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Just wanted to, paint the picture that they were taking plenty of shots at us, and then they went to the shots to them. They were fair across the board first, and then they had to get, especially Gary, just get that frustration out, I think.
Steve Cohen, when he bought the team, said how many years he was going to bring. He actually said 3 to 5 if we go to the exact. But as a Mets fan, you're like, okay, I'll take the longer route. How are Mets fans sitting here today going, is it another 5-year plan that we're ahead of?
It's hard to tell at this point. I mean, we know how weird baseball is. We know the looming labor negotiations that are going to happen after next year. And again, you look at the bottom and middle class of this roster, and you're like, how much better are these guys actually going to be next season? Again, full faith and confidence in Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto, really banking and hoping that Pete Alonso is a guy that is back next season. We'll hold myself to that. And then you're pretty confident going into next season with both Francisco Alvarez and Brett Baty as starting players. Besides that, this entire pitching staff is under contract and every single guy's a question mark. You're really happy you saw it from Nolan McLean. Lots of confidence in the future. While it wasn't great in the present from Brandon Sproat and Jonah Tong, built one of the best farm systems in baseball. Not one relief pitcher under contract heading into next year. It's going to take a lot of work to think that this team could be a World Series team next year. And you're probably going to need some really good signings in the middle class and kind of have to pull some more rabbits out of your hats for David Stearns, who did it really well 2 years ago and did not do it this year. So it's a lot. I think a lot's going to change. I think there's going to be a lot of turnover on this roster, honestly. I think some guys have played their last games as Mets who are under contract. A guy like Jeff McNeil just kind of probably needing to change the culture a little bit. I'm curious about how the organization feels over Ronnie Mauricio and Mark Vientos, over the way their playing time went and the specific words Carlos Mendoza had for each of them over these last few weeks. It's a really strange looking roster right now, and one that, looking back, you're like, I can see how this team, I guess, missed the playoffs, but still hurts in the moment.
At the time, I thought it was a little bit annoying, but I also get it. Pete playing his potential last home game with the Mets, and I think Pete, who's really nice and quirky, was like, really? We're talking about this right now? And it's the job of a reporter. You're getting an ovation. So I'm okay with it. The question now, though, is he's opting out. Do you think we do another song and dance all off season? Because to me, it's not as much about the Mets and their interest in Pete. I think it's the rest of baseball and their lack of interest in a first baseman with that profile. I think the Mets understand the importance of what he means there. And there were other teams that I thought would get involved. I will say, for example, the Washington Nationals, the Pittsburgh Pirates, those were teams that clearly could use a Pete Alonso. They're just not going to spend like that. So it does start to shrink his market. What do you think about Pete for 2026?
I really want Pete back on this team. I can't really imagine a Mets world at this point without him. But it's clear as day, and it has been again last year, this year, that he isn't a player without flaws. I think his defense this year, for one that was bad heading in, took another dramatic step back. His ability to throw the ball was strange. And while he got off to that just rollicking hot start, he did have a midseason swoon and fade like a lot of these other guys did. And I don't know how much different his market is this year compared to last year. Like you said, first base is a position that's oddly been devalued in baseball, despite the fact that Pete Alonso, you can pencil him in for 35 homers, 120 RBIs. I don't think that's exactly what's being bought and sold on the free agent market. So I think you're going to have to probably grind out another few months of waiting for this Pete Alonso thing. I'm assuming mid-January again, similar to last season in the silence of the night. And I hope it's the Mets are there at the end of the day. I wonder if a team out there is actually willing to give him a fourth or even a fifth year after last year, and then coming back into this year. I kind of doubt it. And just like you said, like a lot of those teams who need first baseman kind of have their first baseman. You guys were talking about the Giants before we got on. Their team we expect to spend money this year. They can always use a power hitter. I don't think they signed Pete Alonso the block of Bryce Eldridge. Like the Yankees are going to be a team that could need the first baseman. I don't know if they signed Pete Alonso when they have all that money on their books still and the emergence of Ben Rice. Like I just don't know which of the teams that you think will spend money actually feel like spending this money on this guy. Maybe it's the Red Sox. I don't know. We'll see how everything works out with them and Tristan Casas. I know it's a strange situation there, but it feels like the market is oddly similar to last year. If the market's similar to last year, I think the Mets and David Stearns just play the same waiting game and hope they get their guy at their number again.
James, you have to make a choice. 2 good starting pitchers or Pete Alonso? I'm not saying that Cohen has to make that choice.
It all depends who those starting pitchers are. The free agent class for the season is a little bit lacking at the moment, so I'm really curious about, again, how aggressive a team like the Mets are. I hope they dive deeper into the trade market. I know guys like Sandy Alcantara, like we said before, and Joe Ryan are likely going to be available. Like that's where I prefer to go. We know how bad some of these pitching contracts have been, but if you give me that choice, I think I still would rather take Pete because I still believe in a lot of these young pitchers on this roster. Like I think next year you could walk in and say, Nolan McLean's an opening day starter. Brandon Sproat can start the year as a 5-6, and Jonah Tongs in AAA refining his game, ready to go. And then the guys behind them, like Jack Wenger, Jonathan Santucci, like the Mets have some of the best pitching prospects in baseball. Will Watson, a big breakout this year. And I think that similar to this year, we'll be kind of banking on them to come in like last year. Christian Scott's coming back off injury, but depends if they're ready. Depends how the summer months go. I still just think that we got to get Pete Alonso, then try to figure out the pitching a different way, whether it be trades or the young guys again.
All right. What would make Mets fans happy? Because nothing makes them happy, obviously, except for winning. But you mentioned trades. You're mentioning free agency. What would make Met fans happy? Trading McNeil and some of these other guys that are possibly have these contracts and using young guys, Manaya or whoever, Senga, whoever they could possibly get value for, and using the young guys, or spending again in the free agent market and trying to go for the big fish. What would make Met fans more happy? Because they spent a lot. They didn't make it. Now they're like, oh, we have David Stearns, the master of finding scrap heaps, you just said, right? Guys off the scrap heap and filling in spots. Well, they tried that with some of their guys. Those didn't work. So what makes Met fans happy?
I mean, just wearing something right here, I think would make Mets fans happy. The only thing the Mets fans want is to win the World Series. That's literally it. However we get there, whatever it takes. I do think a lot of Mets fans are ready for an all-in moment. I think similar to a Garrett Crochet trade that the Red Sox made last year. If I had to take the temperature of Mets fans, what they want the most, I'm assuming it's that. Where at the same time, I just don't think that guy's available. Garrett Crochets don't come around every year, and the Red Sox had way better prospects even last year, and I think the Mets might even have now. Definitely better than the Mets had available to them to trade last season. I think if Mets fans don't go into next season with a frontline starting pitcher, however they perceive that guy to be, I think there will be some disappointment. Where at the same time, I do think that, again, the greatest failure of so far of David Stearns and this Mets roster was kinds of shopping too much in the middle class. Like, David Stearns, I think, is still trying to learn how to be a big market executive. And 2 moves he made last year that were big market moves were Sean Manaea and Frankie Montas for $40 million combined. You don't make those moves if you're the general manager of the Milwaukee Brewers. You make those moves when you're like, I can spend these $40, go over the luxury tax, don't care. Let me try and get some innings that I think are reliable that might have some upside. If you don't make those moves, you probably keep shopping for Jose Quintana and Matthew Boyd a few weeks later, guys who are, in that $10 million range. I think it's still him trying to learn what it is, but at the same time, like, you definitely talk to guys like Dylan Cease, Freddie Peralta, Framber Valdez this offseason. Not saying I particularly want those guys, especially my instant reaction of what I'm thinking about any of them, but you have to find a way to get at least some kind of stabilizing pitcher in here. However you can.
Hold up. You can't criticize the Manaea signing. He was their best pitcher the whole second half last year, and in the playoffs, he was like a bona fide ace. You can't say that. But here's the thing about what you're saying about David Stearns, though, right? This is what big market teams are supposed to do. They're supposed to be able to get those guys, right, and fill the spots. But that didn't happen. The guys that were already there didn't happen. So that's why I wonder what makes Met fans happy. So you'd rather go all young guys, and as far as their all-in moment, they signed a guy for $765 million. That's their all-in moment. That's the all-in.
Totally.
Hey, we're all in, guys. I mean, you can't get any more all in than signing Juan Soto for what you signed him for.
But it was still medium all in because, again, we went to the season with very questionable pitching. And again, like the Sean Manaea contract last year, he had an amazing half a season. But a lot of the Sean Manaea success last year, and we've all talked about this, the fact that he changed the arm angle dramatically. So you had 2 months of a guy that changed the way he pitched in season. And then he's someone that has dealt with injuries in the past. He's someone that has dealt with consistency issues in the past. And you just saw both of those things come to fruition this whole season. Again, Sean Manaea is a guy who's a team leader. He's a guy I love having in this clubhouse. He was someone who was very accountable yesterday, talking about his own struggles this year, as he felt were the primary reason this team didn't get to where they were. It takes a lot for a player to say that. You could kind of feel Manaea this year playing with the weight of that contract he signed. He understood how important that money was and how important he was to this team. It was probably a situation where between him and Kodai Senga, they might have rushed those guys back from their injuries, knowing how important it was to get them back in July when that pitching was really starting to fall apart through June after they had a lot of injuries to the depth guys. And the Mets did a weird thing, too, with each of them, where they brought them back just before the All-Star break rather than just after, like a lot of teams will do with injured players. Kodai Senga may return that Friday. Sean Manaea may return that Sunday. Each of those guys pitched again the following weekend, so they can kind of jam and give those guys as many appearances as possible. I should think it's the right thing if they're healthy. But it seems like they might not have been healthy, and maybe that rushing back is the thing that kind of took all of them off their roles for the second half. But it's just a weird pitching staff and a weird roster. And I think that without, again, a super bona fide ace on the market, unless you make that Joe Ryan or Sandy trade, you're probably going to be shopping closer to the bargain bin than the top line of these free agents once again.
Great analysis, James. Really good stuff. Crazy season to cover this team and get to this point. We'll be talking again soon. Appreciate you, man. Good catching up.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, James Schiano. Great Mets talk. If you want more of that, even if you're a Mets hater, I mean, this is the time period to listen to Mets'd Up, part of the FT network. Go get it wherever you get your pods or digital shows on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, etc. Be right back. Okay, AJ, our slab pack ripping continues. Now, you just ripped a card that I think you're actually going to keep.
I am. I'm going to keep it. It's a Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. The old, isn't this the famous upper deck one, I believe it is? And yeah, heck yeah, I'm going to keep it because I'm going to get Griffey to sign it. I'm going to get him to send it to me, which you can do, and I'm going to get Griffey to sign it, and it's only going to make it worth more. So I am all in on this card. I am keeping it, and it is one of the coolest cards with the highest turtleneck you've ever seen and the gold chain around his neck.
Graded 9, 1989 upper deck. You get the offer for $179. It's valued at around $199. And you're like, nah, I'm keeping it. But if you wanted to sell it back instantly, you can. It's the beauty of Arena Club. AJ is going to send in and get the physical card sent to him. And you could do the same. 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase can happen for you if you go to arenaclub.com/foul and use the code FOUL.
Arena Club, once you have the whole set too, before we get to this Bob Nightingale tweet, Arena Club, I just got an offer today on a card that I ripped 2 months ago. I might take him up on it. Although I might not. It's a Junior Camarena card, Caminero card.
Yeah.
Might not do it. But anyway, it's an evergreen thing. It's always happening, always working.
Yeah, you can still get offers way later. I agree. Obviously, that could come from an individual buyer or seller too. Anyway, this is the Dodgers rotation. Game 1, Snell. Game 2, Yamamoto. Game 3, Ohtani. We also learned that Kershaw's not going to be on the roster. Any surprises here?
I thought Yamamoto would probably go game 1, but I get it. Snell has the pedigree and all that, and I don't know what the Reds' numbers exactly are against lefties, but I think they're much worse against lefties. So I think that's why they're doing that. And then Ohtani, game 3, if it gets there, would be very interesting. It gives them the day off if they win to get ready for the next round. So I think this is kind of what we expected. But the Reds haven't had a lot of success against LA the last couple of years. So we'll see.
And Ohtani would start game 1 of the next round if they get it done with 2 games.
Yeah.
That's what they said, at least.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But the bigger question is, after Hunter Green, who's pitching for the Reds?
Zach Littell, baby.
I guess that's a guy.
Bullpen. Chase Burns, couple innings if he's not used in game 1.
Suitor B.
I mean, their bullpen's pretty good.
Their bullpen has been incredible.
Yeah.
For the last month or so. We did a thing on Fox on Saturday about their bullpen. It's been incredible, but not covering 9 innings at a time.
Green, bullpen day. Littell once through the lineup.
Abbott could be ready for game 3.
Yeah.
Who's going to hit for him?
Better than box scores, let's give proper love to the Cincinnati Reds losing their way into the wild card. I'm kidding. They had a nice weekend. They did fall in the final game, which was a must-win, but the Mets were much more of a disaster. This team's played 500 ball for a while, but guess what? If you play 500 ball for most of the season, you got a chance to make it into the playoffs. And the Reds kept themselves enough in the mix. The Mets also fell apart, and here they are to pick up the pieces and face the Dodgers.
Tremendous job by Terry Francona and the Reds. I mean, listen, I bet we talked about this stat. I just said I did the game on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
They hadn't beaten the Brewers in 13 straight series, I think it was. And they win this series. They win the first 2 games to put the pressure on the Mets, and the Mets couldn't do it. Because don't forget, the Mets went into this series with a 1-game lead.
Yes.
Right? So they win 2 out of 3. They're probably in. And they lose 2 out of 3, and that gets them to the tie, which gets them in. So, listen, tremendous job by Terry Francona managing the bullpen. The bullpen's been incredible for the last month or so. Hunter Green's been great. Andrew Abbott's faded a little bit, but he was great all year. Brady Singer's been really good for him. Littell's been good since they picked him up. They have Lodolo. They don't know what they're going to do with him. He pitched out of the bullpen yesterday. So, listen, this Reds team, I don't know if they'll get very far in the playoffs, but they deserve a ton of credit for getting in.
I think their pitching can keep up with LA. The offenses are in 2 different stratospheres.
Spencer Steer has been good. Ellie's kind of got a little bit better. But
he's gotten better lately. The last few weeks he's getting on base more. There's a little more opposite field pop, but he doesn't look like the Ellie we're expecting. And then Noel B. Marte has had some nice moments at the plate.
Yeah.
TJ Friedl gets on base.
Yeah.
That's it.
They strike out so much, though. They strike out so much against a team of the Dodgers that's built on striking you out.
To me, Kratz, if they're going to pull off victories against the Dodgers, their pitching's going to be nails from start to finish, right? You're going to get like a dominant Green start. We talked about how the bullpen's been really good. And then you're going to like scratch some of those playoff runs together, right? Friedl gets on or Steer and Ellie creates some offense, or maybe they get really aggressive against the catching core for the Dodgers. What do you think?
I mean, to me, that's the only way. Like, I could see these games if Hunter Green comes out and is just nails like he has been the last 2 seasons. Yes. You know, maybe Nick Martinez gives him some length in some games out of the pen. Like, I don't know where they find that offense. That is going to be the biggest thing. I think they're the first. I wish I remember the 4 stats, but they're the first team to make the playoffs without somebody that hit over 200, without over 25. It
was like
270. Is that what it is?
25 homers, 100 RBIs, and something. It was a crazy.
And
stat.
200 strikeouts. They don't have anybody like that. But you know what the beauty of the playoffs is you're the Dodgers. Do not get caught saving Shohei Ohtani. If you think Shohei Ohtani is your best option, don't get caught saving him. That's all I got to say, because the Reds can throw out some pitchers that can strike some dudes out. And they're throwing him in game 1. You win game 1, all of a sudden now you're like, all right, well, we can still win 2 games, but our bullpen is kind of shaky. And that's where I think the Reds could have a chance to take advantage of the Dodgers. Can they build up enough of a pitch count for Blake Snell in the first game, for Yamamoto in the second game, where they then have to make tough decisions on who comes into the bullpen? And the Reds can do it, but the pitching needs to keep them in it, because I just don't see them getting more than 2 or 3 runs against Blake Snell or Yamamoto.
And it doesn't sound like they're necessarily going to do piggyback action. I mean, Kershaw's not playing in this series. We already know that. Maybe Emmett Sheehan picks up some innings for them. But otherwise, you're going to have to see who's hot and who's not carrying it over from the regular season.
I don't think that they want to do a piggyback. They've tried that in the past and it hasn't worked. I don't think that the piggyback is the way for them to do it. I think they need to go to the traditional Blake Snell, give me 6 or 7. Yamamoto, give me 6 or 7. Shohei, give me 6 or 7.
But then what? So
Glass
then,
now, give me 6 or 7.
Then what does it look like?
Well, then you figure it out from there. Vesia obviously has been their best option. Trinan, you hope, is back. Tanner Scott figures it out because he gets an adrenaline spike. I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But that's what they're looking like for this series. Again, I don't know that it's going to matter against the Reds just because 1 through 26, the talent, there is a talent gap there, and that's not a knock on the Reds guys. It just is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get to the next round where you've got to play the Phillies, that's when it's going to be like, okay, now what do we do?
Yep.
Obviously, if they get there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an if. There still is an if.
It's a best of 3. We've seen a lot of upsets in this first round. So just keep that in mind. Last part here, just on the Dodgers side. Did you think Kershaw was going to appear as a reliever, though, for them? He pitched okay the other day, but I guess it's a bounce-back situation. So if he pitches once for an inning or two, then he's not going to pitch again. So you're only getting an inning or two in a 3-gamer?
I don't know.
Is that what it is?
Kind of happy the way he ended it.
You think it should just be a great farewell at home, then in Seattle yesterday, and that's it? Okay.
I thought it was so awesome how he ended it. But I really thought he was going to be in the pen, too. Something had – I don't know. We said it before our show together. Like, I feel like – did he not recover well? Because they made that decision. They're like, all right, well, you're going to start then in this meaningless game to end the season if you're not – because he threw out of the pen, and then it was like, if you have him in the pen, you can't take up a spot in the pen, and he goes, I can't go back-to-back. Or you need to throw me 3 innings, and then I'll give you – I need 3 days rest. Like, I felt like that decision seemed like it was made pretty quickly. And maybe this is just a DS thing. I don't know.
Right. Things could change, or a wild card, because then DS, you've got a best of 5. So we'll see what happens there.
It was definitely a bounce-back thing.
Yeah.
At his age. He was probably like, I can't bounce back, guys. You're going to need more than me.
Right. And they might need a lot of help, depending on
They'll have
who
Glass
they're trusting
now?
or not.
They'll have Glass now down there. Imagine Glass now coming in to close the game for 3 innings.
Dude.
Well, the Reds are going to get on base and just try to steal. That's the game.
That is true. That is true.
People
there
have
was
been-
a famous game with Glass now against Ellie. I think he stole like 4 bases off him or something.
Yeah, if he gets on, it's just go.
Yeah.
There's like he's not even going to wait any time. Oh, you're on, Ellie? Just go. It's going to be like just the third base coach is going to be like, whenever you're ready, go.
Yep. It's going to be fun. It's going to be good.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Congrats to Terry Francona. 3rd time he's made the playoffs in his first year with the team. Reds hadn't made the playoffs in a full season in a long time. So good for them on this one. And we're excited for
1995 is the number hanging over their head.
since they've won a series, right, in the playoffs.
Jim Bowden.
Jim Bowden, who's joining us later. We'll be right back. Hey, we're back, and the Astros are not back in October for the first time since 2016. Almost a decade of Astros playoff baseball and Astros dominating the AL West. We knew that wasn't going to happen in the last week when the Mariners went on a run over the last few weeks. But, Kratz, are you surprised that they crumbled, especially against some competition that you think they could have handled? Or did you say, hey, this is one of the only teams in baseball that really was missing superstars and couldn't figure it out with what they had left, the scraps?
Yeah, I mean, they always prided themselves in having a young core that seemed like they played every single day. Those guys got hurt. I mean, the guys that they took from the Kyle Tucker trade, Cam Smith had a good stretch of the season where he was good. He started out rough, then it was really good, and then it kind of, the season is long when you have a young guy playing in those positions. Paredes missed the last part of the season and came back and wasn't 100% healthy. They played the whole season without Yordan. But really, did the Astros just put themselves in this situation? They could have re-signed Bregman. They do spend a lot of money. I'm not saying they don't. They could have. They know what kind of winner he was and is. And they could have kept Tucker for 1 more year and gotten a draft pick. They chose not to. It looked like it was going to work out for them. And it didn't. The Mariners caught up to him.
Also, if they took care of more biz against Sacramento and the Angels, the Tigers gave them a nice lane.
Yeah, but it just wasn't meant to be this year for the Astros. I mean, you lose. We just went through it with the Mets. Let's look at what the Astros lost. Hader, their closer, their best hitter, Alvarez.
Yeah.
Paredes, their third baseman, who they were counting on. Jeremy Pena missed a significant chunk of time. I mean, their starters. Hunter Brown was great. Fromber.
He fell apart late for the
really
most part.
Good ones, and then he went crazy for a little while, right? But I mean, they lost Eric Getty, who they were counting on. They lost a lot of guys they were counting on. And that's not an excuse, but it was just time. Like this is why it's so hard to win in baseball. And
they still finished with 87 wins, matched with the Tigers. They just lost the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So one more win. Like Friday night, they lost to the 2-homer Trout game. If they win that game, they're in the playoffs over the Tigers.
Big losses they tried to cover for. I mean, I think they'll be back in it again next year, or back in the race again next year.
I'm just surprised with all that. They had a lane. One game in Sacto or one game against the Angels here, and they would have been in. But I think a lot of people are happy to see them out because they've had a really dominant run for a while of making the playoffs and getting some titles out of it.
The Yankees still haven't beaten the Astros in the playoffs. Another year.
True. Hey, we're back. Let's preview the Tigers and the Guardians, who are going to play some early action coming up in these wild card games. I feel like they knew that was coming.
Oh. Yeah.
They're getting the 1 o'clock East Coast time game in the slot when you have, a 1, a 3, a 6, and
8, I think.
8 or 9. Yeah. So, hey, this is going to be fun. The games that we've seen from these two teams in the last couple of weeks have been really good.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Game 1, Scooble against Williams, I'm assuming. Again, we just saw it.
And they did what you said.
Twice the last couple of weeks. In that matchup, they haven't exactly beat Scooble. Well, first one, they just outlasted him. The second one, they small balled him to death. Well, what are they? I mean, if I'm the Guardians, I go into this saying, man, we rattled the best pitcher in baseball by bunting and stealing and doing all kinds of goofiness. Guess what? First bat of the game, Stephen Kwan. Boop.
Bunt?
I mean, maybe.
I think some of the other guys should be bunting.
Well, true. Get Kwan on base. Try to cause havoc.
That's what I'm saying. Ken Rosenthal had fair territory, and he did all of his previews, so check that out after our show if you'd like. He said this is one of the worst offenses of all time to make the postseason. Right? You have more postseason slots nowadays, so that's part of it, but their ranks in terms of offense are really, really bad. Now, we look at ranks for the entire season. Things do change.
They've been better.
Yes. But that's where the Tigers have an edge, right? They should have a little bit of a better lineup. They
haven't been swinging the bat. They talk about a team that strikes out too much. Oh, geez. I just said the Reds strike out a lot. Look at the Tigers. Tigers strike, especially against Gavin Williams. Oh, boy.
Because he throws a curveball. They can't hit a curveball. And they're not going to be able to hit it in that day sunlight when the shadows start creeping in. It's going to be the pillow fight in the SpongeBob game. Whenever we play a 12 o'clock game, in the minor leagues, it was always a SpongeBob game because there's a bunch of kids there and they were like always playing SpongeBob SquarePants song. And these two teams aren't hitting. Like they aren't hitting and they have to face two legit pitchers. It just it doesn't make for must-see TV, except for the fact that Tarek Skubal's gone.
The pillow fight in the SpongeBob game.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Listen.
That's good.
The Guardians have actually swung the bat a lot better. They have. I mean, you gotta look at their numbers lately. They've been a lot better. The Tigers are we all talk about the Mets. The Tigers are thanking the Mets because they blew the largest lead of all time to not win the division. Now they got in because of the extra wild card, but they had a 15.5 game lead over the Guardians and blew it. They had like a 10-game lead at the beginning of September and lost. They had the worst record of all time in September of a team to make the postseason. Like, they're not going in with any momentum. Their momentum is, all right, we have Tarek Skubal and then Casey Mize and Jack Flaherty and a bullpen that's been getting whacked around the yard for the last month and a half. The Guardians have all the momentum. You got Austin Hedges up there doing all kind of cheerleading stuff on the rail. And, I mean, Cleveland, show up. Cleveland, show up for these 3 games.
Oh, they will.
Show up. I'm just saying, please, because you guys can be great.
And
show up.
Yeah, but Detroit punted on the Sunday game for Skubal to pitch in this series because maybe Skubal wins on Sunday and then the series is at home. But we did that question of the week last week that you brought up.
Pitch Skubal.
You need Skubal. Skubal is he might be
your
the most
one-thing advantage you
impactful
have.
player on a team in the playoffs. No,
He's probably the well, I won't say the most important, but for his team, he's probably the most important player on his team.
yeah.
MVP? Wait. Shouldn't he get MVP votes then if he's the most valuable player?
He should get
Cleveland's
MVP
gonna
votes.
show
He's not
up.
going to win MVP.
I know.
No, I mean the fans. I'm not talking about the players. I'm talking about the fans. Like I
Cleveland
want
fans
I
can't
want
show
Jake
up. They have
Rock.
to take a longer lunch break. It's a lunchtime game.
Not everybody can take off work for a 1 o'clock, but somebody's got to do it. Not every game is going to be prime time. And if you keep advancing, you'll eventually get to prime time. Guardians took on the Yankees last year. Then you get a little prime
I
time
didn't want
action.
none of that prime time then.
Yeah. So the Tigers lost 12 of 13 through the middle of July. Remember that tough stretch out of the All-Star break. And then 11 of 12 through the middle of last week. I mean, those are some really, really bad times. And meanwhile, the Guardians this month, 20-7. They're hot. Now, statistically, like I was talking about with the offense, guess how many players with at least 20 games played this season have an above average offensive performance for the year? That means over 100 OPS plus, 100
Two.
being
For the
league
Guardians?
average. Guess how many? Yeah.
3.
2. That's
only,
it.
Only 2?
Only 2.
Manzardo didn't make it? I mean, it's Jose
I don't have
and
the
Quan.
names, but I think
Jose
it's
and Quan.
Yeah, Ramirez
Quan,
and
yeah, it is.
And Quan.
yeah, I think so. Did Quan finish above it?
Who was the other one?
No, I don't. I only had the number, not the names. I should have. Quan finished at 96.
Who's the other one?
Probably Manzardo
Yeah,
is my
Manzardo.
guess, right? Let me double check real quick. Love doing stats on the fly here, but I set myself up for that one. Yeah, Manzardo.
Oh, okay.
So those are the 2. That's it.
And the
Everybody
winner,
else?
I get to see the winner,
Whatever.
so it's going to be interesting.
Winner faces the Mariners.
Winner faces the Mariners. Got to travel to Seattle,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to be unbelievable atmosphere.
Who do you think wins this? Do you think that the Guardians have the edge because of what they're
everything
doing?
in my head and everything in my heart says the Tigers should win this series,
Mm-hmm.
just because if you look at all the stats and everything. But then you go back to they just played each other twice, and the Guardians won I think 5 out of 6 in
In
those
playoff worthy games.
playoff games. The Guardians won 5 out of 6. The Guardians beat them last year. Again, everything says the Tigers should win, but there's also a big part of my heart that's like the Guardians are going to win because they just know how to win.
Yeah, I also just think, for me, Kratz, my head thinks Guardians, which is why I'll probably go with Tigers because that's just how these kind of wild card matchups go, where you're like, Tigers have no momentum, they haven't beat Cleveland, and do you really think they're going to keep losing Skubal games? What, they've lost like 3 or 4 of his last start? I'm like, eventually he's just going to have one where it's like, there's no duck snort and he pitches 7 or 8 shutty and he gets a homer or 2 and then they're up 1-0 in the series and they got to win 1 more.
I mean, he's kind of dominated the Guardians. I know they've beaten them the last 2 times. I'm trying to think the other time, the third start this year against them. You think that first start, I mean, he's gone 13 strikeouts, 8 strikeouts, 9 strikeouts, 10 strikeouts against him. To me, I think, and I guess I'm putting too much weight on the first game, I'm thinking the Tigers take the series. I really think that. I think there's somebody on their offense is going to step up where the matchup is favorable to a Tigers hitter, like a Kerry Carpenter, like a Parker Meadows. Because they can't just keep matching up and winning those battles if you're the Guardians.
They have, though.
Yeah, they have.
I
But
know
like
they have.
Hinch's message. He's like, that was that. His
No,
big
start
thing
over.
is fresh season, fresh season,
Yeah,
fresh season.
he has to say that.
Yeah.
Every team says that gets in kind of backdoors their win. Oh, it's a new season. Let's go, guys.
Mm-hmm.
The teams that are hot down the stretch, the Guardians are like, oh, it's a new season. They're like, let's keep it going.
But the
Mariners
Rangers,
are like, let's keep it going.
dude, 2 years ago, the Rangers had a bad last week. And then that made them have to not win the division and go to Tampa Bay. And we're like, they're probably going to do nothing. And then they got hot as hell. Remember? They were not hot.
No.
They kind of fell in. And then they won the World Series. I'm not saying that's happening here. I'm just saying I don't buy a lot of momentum. Maybe we'll do a momentum. Momentum in October, yes. Momentum from regular season, I think that's a different season. That's me. And there's some research to back that up, which we can talk about tomorrow.
I talked to somebody with the Tigers, and they said, I truly had 100% belief that we were going to get in until the Nacho Alvarez game. Then I thought we were cursed. Is exactly. I just went back and read his text, and he was like, I thought the Nacho Alvarez game was cursed. If you're not a Tigers fan, Nacho Alvarez had 0 home runs on the season, and he hit 2 against them. And it looked like that was the game that was going to knock the Tigers out of it. And it was like just a bad stretch. So they're being honest. They're a real team. And it's played by human beings. The Tigers, I think the Tigers on paper are a better team. That's it.
Not paper tigers, tigers.
Tigers.
If you know, you know. If you know, you know. All right, coming up next, AL East talk. Red Sox-Yankees, best out of 3. That's pretty cool. And the Blue Jays made sure that they didn't have to be involved in this one. We'll talk about it. Congrats to the Blue Jays. First AL East crown since 2015. We'll sprinkle in some Blue Jays talk in this next segment too, but we'll also preview the Red Sox and the Yankees. It was a fun game to watch yesterday. The city knew what was at stake. That's the thing is, for all their games in the last week and a half or so, the city knew what was at stake, right? Like, we need to take a division. They've also seen a lot of heartbreak, Kratz. They've lost 3 wild card rounds in a row. They're like, we need to avoid this best out of 3 crap and move on. And they did.
They did. It wasn't just the fans. I mean, I go back to what George Springer said. Oh, might as well just give the American League East to the Yankees. And I think the last series here, it truly looked like they were like, screw who's behind us. We're beating the team in front of us. And they put their best foot forward. They came out and they banged in the last game. They came out and they hit home runs. A team that doesn't hit home runs actually hit home runs. And so I think it's something that it almost seemed like it was a different shift of like, oh no, what's going to go wrong? Or instead, all right, how are we going to win this game? Who's going to step up? What's the next spot?
They lost 6 of 7, and then they finished the year winning 4 in a row, and they had to win all 4 of those games as the Yankees won 8 in a row to end the year. Good for them.
Good for the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Happy for the Blue Jays. Happy for John Snyder. What'd he say? The sky is not effing falling. I told y'all the sky is not effing falling.
He was right.
He was right, but also at the same time, now they get a nice break. They use Gosman because they wanted to win the division. They get the nice break, and here they are. They're set up. They can set their pitching up. They can set up how they want to play, and they get a nice break, and trust me, teams that say they don't want the break are lying because everybody wants this nice break. Aaron Boone said it. Yeah, we want the break. We want to win the division and get the break. Absolutely, because it gives you chance to set everything up the way. Now, it doesn't guarantee you're going to win, but it helps you.
For me, forget about multi-inning guy. Trey Savage has to be starting games for me. He did another 5 innings, shutout, 5 Ks. I want him in the rotation.
Okay.
He should be in the top 3 for me. Right? Gossman, him, Scherzer. Am I missing someone? Brios is hurt. Bassett is still hurt as far as I know. They're still figuring out what his deal is. It's those 3, right? Oh, and Bieber. That's your 4.
And Lauer's a long guy.
Yeah.
I don't think Scherzer starts in the first series.
In the DS?
I don't know.
So
You have to
Gossman,
have 4.
Bieber,
You don't get the day
Savage.
off.
Right.
NL has the extra day off this year.
Oh.
They don't
Which
have
is
one.
big. We'll get into that.
Huge.
Hot corner time. Let's sizzle. Yankee Stadium, Tuesday, Wednesday, and maybe Thursday. Red Sox, Yankees, first round. That's good.
Love it. This is what it's all about. People are like, I hate the expanded playoffs when you get matchups like this. Bring it on, people, because you know what? It's great for baseball, and the whole world is going to be tuning in. Everyone says, the Yankees and Red Sox are on TV too much. You know why? Because people tune in to watch.
It's going to be fun. And there's a lot of star power here. Garrett
Yes,
Crochet
Crochet.
against Max Fried, game 1. That's good. Yankees playing sizzling hot right now, Kratz. Red Sox get in. Obviously, the narrative, they trade Devers. I was critical of it, as were many others. They don't have Roman Anthony, but they're going to step in with, I think, well, I guess it's close. But no, Crochet's better than Fried, right? If you have to power rank those two?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So they've got the best starter going here. Bayo is going to go in game 2 for them. And Boone made some announcements. I'm just scrolling back up here. Cam Schlitter would start game 3 if there is one. So you got Fried and Rodon for games 1 and 2. Austin Wells behind the plate for game 1. That means Ben Rice probably on the bench. Goldie at first, and then you can bring in Rice at some point. And then Ahmed Rosario might get a little look at second instead of Jazz for sure because of his numbers against Crochet.
He was like 6 for 8 against Crochet.
I think
Ahmed
it's
Rosario is finding a way into a playoff game. And guess who's the hottest right now? Playoff Giancarlo Stanton. Mike Stanton, whatever you want to call him. This dude is scorching right now. I get it. He was hitting dingers against the Orioles. But he shows up in the playoffs. I don't think there's a bigger hitter in either lineup of this series. And I get it. Alex Bregman's been one of the best postseason players in this pool of generation of players because he's always been in it, and his numbers, he has ridiculous amount of numbers in the postseason. But G can single-handedly take over a series where you look at a Crochet-Fried matchup, 3 runs might win the game. And G has been that guy in the playoffs, but more importantly, this last week of the season.
Where do you think the edges are? For me, I think starting pitching's close. Red Sox bullpen advantage, Yankees lineup advantage.
Yeah. And they're playing at Yankee Stadium, which will help.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Cora will come up with something that'll help them try to win. I think the fact they're playing in Yankee Stadium is going to be huge. The Red Sox have to win game 1. They just – Crochet owns Judge. He's got like 1 hit off of him in his career. I think as much as we think that the Tigers have to win game 1 against the Guardians, I firmly believe the Red Sox have to win when Crochet pitches.
Did you say dinger, Kratz?
That was the 1 hit he's got.
Oh, 1 dinger, yeah.
I think he hit 2 dingers against him.
Oh, really?
He hit the 1 in the 8 innings, but anyway, that's just...
So Judge had another ridiculous season. Kratz, your former teammate, is up for an MVP. He's going to get first or second. Ridiculous. Historic season again. But last year in the playoffs, he had some really rough moments. Do you think that we get more of the regular season Judge or the October Judge here?
I think regular season Judge. I think if you go back to some of his numbers that he's amassed in the postseason, they're not as bad as they are recently. So does that mean you don't care? To me, I don't think he's unaware of how bad he's done recently in the playoffs. But I think you have a shorter memory. You have a longer memory and like, dude, I should win the MVP. My OPS plus is over 210 if I know what that was as a player. He is not – he's feeling the same pressure as anybody else on this roster.
No, not true.
He feels more pressure.
He might not say it, but he absolutely has to. He's the guy. He's the guy that in New York, stars need to shine, and he hasn't shined in the big moments. He hasn't. I'm sorry. I love Aaron Judge. I think he's unbelievable. He's an unbelievable player. But in the big, bright moments, he has not shined the way that they need him to. Game 5 of the World Series last year, he dropped the fly ball that led to all hell breaking loose.
First error of the season.
At the worst time possible.
Yeah.
What do they remember in New York? Ask anybody that played there. They remember how you did in the postseason. They don't give a crap about how you do in the regular season.
I would
agree. Do you think it has more to do with him or how they pitch him with better pitching in the postseason? Do you think that's a factor at all or no?
He hits good pitching too.
He's hitting 205. He's hitting 205 in the postseason in his career.
What about
do you
have the slash?
In his career.
Do you have the on base and
205. I mean, he's got 16 homers.
Do you have
He's got 220 at bats.
Okay.
His first 3 seasons in the postseason, he hit way better than that. 7, 18, 19, 20, he was not healthy. He came back after being hurt. 21 was quick.
His OBP is 318. His OPS is 768. He's had one great postseason. It was 2018. He had 19 at bats, 421, 500, 1400 OPS. Other than that, it's 816, 743, 662, 500, 490, and last year was 752. So his OPS is 768 with a 205.
Which is solid, but not for him.
Not for him. Not when he's
that's
a 1,000
not close.
OPS guy for his career.
Exactly.
No, I'm sorry. Like that's. I mean, I love Aaron Judge to death, but this is what people look at.
Yeah.
Especially
so do the Dodgers. Do the Dodgers not throw Clayton Kershaw?
They're not.
Do they not throw him in the postseason?
They're not.
I get
he's not on the roster.
He's not in the wild card. I get it. He's not one of their 3 starters.
What's your point?
Yeah, what's the point here?
They're both elite players. Their numbers in the postseason may not match up. Kershaw's got a 4.5 ERA in 194 innings. Does that mean you don't think he's going to perform? To me, I think Judge will perform in the playoffs. Has he not? Yes. To me,
no one said he didn't think he's going to be good to perform. I just said he needs to perform. Nobody said we don't think he's not going to perform.
I'm asking.
I'm just giving the numbers, and he hasn't performed up to the level. Kershaw has 2 rings. Judge has 0. That's the way Yankee fans judge their players.
Right.
Why do they love Derek Jeter? How many rings does Derek Jeter have?
What?
5. Right?
Oh, sorry. 5. You're right. 09 too.
5. But also
that's why they love Derek Jeter. That's why they love the core 4. That's why they love Jorge Posada. That's why the guys that win the ring, that's why they love Nick Swisher, because he won the ring in 2009. That's why Yankee fans judge their stars on. How many rings did you win? Yogi Berra won, 9 or 10 rings? That's what the Yankees judge their people on. It doesn't matter. Regular season's cool. How many rings do you have? And right now, Judge, unfortunately, has 0, even though he's been the best player in the game since he's got to the big leagues.
Scott asked me if I thought he was going to be regular season Judge or postseason Judge.
Yeah.
And my opinion is he's going to be regular season Judge.
I hope so.
I can't not. I will put my stake in the ground on that. I think he will be that guy.
Do you?
I hope he is. I don't know. I hope he is, because I love Aaron Judge, and I think he's so fun to watch when he's right.
Right now, if we're going off track record,
I'm saying no.
I'm saying Stanton is the guy who lives up to those moments.
Yes.
He is the guy.
Bellinger's had big moments in the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
Volpe's had huge moments in the postseason.
He has.
He looks like he can't throw right now.
He's got a lot of issues.
Did you see the throw he made yesterday with like 3 hop? That was bad.
His shoulders crushed. I mean,
then you can't play him.
Huh?
You can't play him. You can't have that in the playoffs.
Caballero, you have to run Caballero. But I'm just saying, I don't know. Listen, I'm just saying, Judge needs to have that moment, and it needs to happen against the Red Sox early.
Big homer last year against Class A. I get it, but he had tons of opportunities last year. And Giancarlo Stanton carried the team in October.
Yes.
He was insane. He was so fun to watch.
How do you not play? I know Austin Wells is catching, but you can't play a way to get Ben Rice in the lineup somewhere?
They will later, right?
But I need him in there. I need him in there as much as I can get him in there.
He's going to go in late against righties.
Yeah, I know.
And then he'll play game 2.
Can he play third for McMahon? That would be Goldschmidt play third for McMahon.
I mean, you can't think about what they could have here. Crochet's gone 7 and 8 innings against the Red Sox. If he goes 7, you can't bring Ben Rice in, because eventually they're going to bring Aroldis in, and then he's got to go left on left against Aroldis Chapman, the best reliever in baseball this year.
They got to get Crochet out of the game. That's it. Again, as much as we say Scooble needs to win, Garrett Crochet needs to win game 1. Those are the 2 big ones. Hunter Green. If the Reds are going to have any chance, Hunter Green's got to win game 1.
Yeah, we're talking about top 10 starters in the sport. Yes. Those guys are top 10 starters.
Yes.
We've talked about the sexy part of this game. One thing we haven't brought up that both teams absolutely suck at: fielding. Neither of these teams can field. Trevor Story has 5 errors in the last 8 games, and it was 5 of 6 games. talking about maybe he's a little tired. They have their best second baseman playing Gold Glove center field. And, don't forget, they're worse fielding, the Red Sox, away from Boston, where you can kind of mitigate some things because you can play shallower, the wall comes into play, all that stuff. Are we going to see some balls kicked around here in this series that cost one of the teams to go home?
Yes.
More than likely.
Yes.
We haven't even hit on the, I think, which is going to be an awesome series too, the Cubs and the
We will.
Padres.
We'll get to it.
I mean,
We'll get to it. Can I announce?
That's another interesting one.
Yes.
Especially with Cade Horton going down.
We will. We will. Last thing real quick on this. Red Sox have went 9-4 this season against the Yankees, 5-2 at Yankee Stadium. When you look at previews, people always bring up season series. Do you care or not?
No.
No? Okay. Kratz, do you care or not?
Nope.
Okay. FT fam, good little series preview of the Yankees and the Red Sox. More to go. Jim Bowden joining us soon too for the firings and extensions with managers, and we'll of course get some more playoff matchups with him. No games today. Regular season's wrapped up. I finished plus. We'll show it later. AJ obviously did too. We'll get to it. AL Pennant futures. Who is going to represent the American League in the World Series? BetMGM thinks it's the Mariners. They're 2-1 to make it through. Then the Blue Jays at plus 280. Never even been to a World
Series. It's amazing that they're the
never.
favorites.
Only team that's never made it to a World Series. Just one.
Yeah. I've kicked myself for not betting on Cal Raleigh all year. I started when AJ said he's going to win the MVP, so I'm going to win that bet. I should have bet on him for the home run derby. Don't make the same mistake twice. Plus 200 is a lot of money. Put it down on the Mariners.
Plus 200 is not great odds for you.
No. It's still a lot of money if it's a lock, and everything that Cal Raleigh does this year is win, 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 no matter what.
Yeah. They need to take down what should be a couple tough opponents. I mean, so the first round, they're going to take on Detroit or Cleveland, right? They should have a significant edge in that one.
Which do you want? Do you want the easy route? Like you look at the Phillies are going to have to most likely play the Dodgers. Would you rather, if you're the Mariners, would you rather play the Red Sox or Yankees, which is probably a better team than the Guardians or Tigers, or do you want to play that team in your first 5-game series?
The Mariners have an easier route in my mind, and that's what you want.
Oh, absolutely.
That is always what you want.
100%, especially because Skubal and Gavin Williams won't be able to pitch game one.
Yeah. And then you try and take them down a team so you can reset your pitching again, and that the other side maybe gets into a 6 or 7 gamer, and they're a mess when they enter your series. That's always what you want, in my mind.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, BetMGM fam, open up your playbook, choose your boost. SGP boost packs, 2 chances to spike your odds. There's a pro football boost pack and 3 ways to boost your odds for your next bet. Activate one of those boost tokens for any pro football bet because there's a little Monday Night Football tonight. If you're a New Yorker and you unfortunately root for the Mets and the Jets, maybe you should just hit BetMGM instead and receive a bigger payout if your bet wins if you activate a boost pack. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Be right back. Here comes resident GM Jim Bowden on FT, and it is, let's call it JB Manager Movement Monday. I don't know, I'm just making stuff up on the fly here, but great to have you on. And let's start with Bob Melvin being fired by Buster Posey. Do you think it was the right move, and what do you think's next for the Giants?
Yeah, I think it was the right move. I mean, look, Bob Melvin basically had the Giants as a 500 team last year, 500 team again this year. Buster Posey in the offseason went out and signed Willy Adames, gave him the big money. Adames ended up hitting the 30 homers. Giants got off to a good start. Buster went out there and got Rafael Devers in June to continue to try to improve the offense here, and the team kind of sputtered. And at the end of the day, I think Buster's sitting up there looking at his team saying, if the Reds made the playoffs, we could have made the playoffs. And so I think there's that aspect of it. Although, look, Bob Melvin's had a great career. He was Executive of the Year in both leagues, did a great job with the Athletics when he was there. So, look, I understand his long career. I'm not taking anything away from him. But here's the most important part of that firing, right? When you head a baseball operations, you want to have a manager in that seat that you get along with, that you respect, that is on the same page with you. And you like to have your guy in there if it works out. Now, sometimes you inherit a manager and it works and it's fine and you can go on and win. That happens quite a bit as well. But I think if you're Buster Posey, you want your guy in there. I think that's the case. And so, I think for him, he's got a couple of options. Number one, he could see if Bruce Bochy wants to come back. A lot of rumors around San Francisco that that's a possibility. But he is 70 years old. So does Buster want to do that and just try to go for it in the next couple of years? Or the other idea is Buster ends up hiring a younger manager that can be the long-term solution with him, building a team together, which is probably the right decision at this point, just because I think the Dodgers and Padres, their window of winning is going to continue the next couple of years. And I think the Giants are a few years away of being where they want to get to. But the firing, I think, was kind of expected, at least from my perspective.
Did Bo Mel do bad enough? Had Buster been the one hiring him, and let's say this was his second year of a 3-year contract and Buster had brought him in, did he do bad enough with this roster, the way it was constructed, to deserve to be fired? I get it what you're saying. You bring in your own guy. He wasn't your guy.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I mean, I think this team was around a 500 team, I think is what you're trying to get at, but I think there's more to it than that. When you're sitting in the seat, it's not just about wins and losses, right? It's about, are you getting the most out of the players that you have? Are you developing the guys you need to develop? And then the other thing is, when you're sitting up there in the box, unfortunately for a manager, GMs are absolutely watching every single pitch, every single decision that a manager makes, first guessing everything that they do. It's difficult to sit in that seat. So I think sometimes it's more important than that. And the other thing is, different manager styles work with different teams. I don't spend enough time in the Giants clubhouse to really get the vibe if Bob was the right guy for that particular team. But, there are some teams that need a different voice to reach the potential you want them to be at. And I'm not saying that was just the reason here. But I think if you're running baseball ops, make sure you have the guy in that seat that you want in that seat. Because at the end of the day, you're both going to win or you're both going to fail together. And if you're not on the same page, if you're not watching and seeing the game and watching the development the same way, it can be frustrating and difficult. So, look, a lot of times managers get fired mostly because of the players. I think we all get that. To answer your question clearly, was this about a 500 team? Yes. Do I think another manager would have won more games? Maybe 2 or 3 at the most, but that's about it.
2 or 3 gets you in the playoffs, but that's not going to be my next question. My next question is, you look at a guy like Buster Posey. He was a superstar from the jump. Can he, and this is just your opinion, work with somebody, a younger manager, like you said, to build this up who's not a superstar? Because if that's the case, you almost have to go to somebody who's managed before. You almost have to go to somebody who's got that pedigree of winning at other places, and then you come in and the expectation of winning is on Buster Posey putting that down to his manager, who then puts it down to the players.
Yeah, Erik, great points all the way across the board. And so, I would say for Buster, it would probably be just because of his inexperience in the front office. Do I think it would be beneficial to bring in a manager that has won before? I mean, I would say yes, only because with my young experience, when I had the job, I needed to go get someone that had won. I hired Davey Johnson, who had won 90 games 5 different times. He came in, and together we finished in first place 2 years in a row and made it to the LCS. I go back and I look at that hire. That was huge, not just for the Reds, but it was huge for me personally at the time. Do I think it would benefit Buster to bring in Bruce Bochy, who he knows, who he won 3 world championships with? Yeah, for the short term, I think it would be great. At the same time, I think I trust that Buster Posey knows this game so well, has learned it so well, that if he wanted to bring in an inexperienced manager that had a significant background in the game that he believed in, I think that can work too.
Hey, Jim, is there another move that should be made somewhere else? This is the first one. We see Don Kelly get extended, which is the most Pirates move of all time, and get the guy we know. We don't need to go outside the organization. And listen, Don Kelly did a great job while he was there for the second half, and yes, they improved. But is there another organization that needs to make a move out there that you can see besides the Giants? Torey Lovello had some interesting comments the other day about what he does. I'm not saying he should be the one to let go, but it's just a different way managers are chosen now. So is there a team out there you think that could make a move and say, hey, this move could help us be a better team next year?
I think the Baltimore Orioles could make a change, and I think it could be significant. I think they've done things a certain way, and I think for Mike Elias to hire a GM under him and to get the right manager to run that organization, I think is huge. Someone that isn't inbred in that organization, that isn't in love with their own players, I think would be helpful. So I would say the Orioles. I don't know what Brian Snitker is going to do in Atlanta, but I think we're all kind of watching and seeing if he's going to retire. Same thing with Bruce Bochy in Texas. And I think if he does retire or does go back to San Francisco, I think Skip Schumacher will end up taking that position. But I would say those were the biggest teams that I'm kind of watching right now.
All the playoff teams just pop champagne, so they got a bunch of crap in their locker that smells like champagne. Is there any manager that smells like champagne that goes into the GM's office and gets fired? Of the managers that are there right now, if something goes haywire and wrong here, is there anybody in your mind that could be fired?
I don't think so. Not this particular year. I don't think there's anyone out there, and we don't have George M. Steinbrenner getting mad anymore. So, yeah, I don't think so. I think the media in the big markets will ask for their managers to be fired if they don't win the World Series, and that's just normal. But I personally don't believe that any of the playoff teams that start tomorrow, I don't think any of those managers will end up losing their jobs.
All right,
JB.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Scotty.
I got one more before we transition there, EK. So, JB, I listen to your front office show, as you know, on Sirius every week, and you had John Mozeliak on, and he's stepping down. He's had a great run with the Cardinals. Check the track record. I mean, he's done a lot with that team for a long period of time. I know it wasn't as good lately. Heimblum takes over. The part that I thought stood out to me was that he mentioned he's going to take a little time, and then we'll see what happens. I thought that he was semi-retiring, but from the conversation, it sounds like he's open to stepping into another front office role, whether it be next year or in the future. Did you get that inclination or know any info about that?
Oh, yeah, Scott. I mean, look, I think this was pre-planned because the Cardinals were going to move on. And I think the DeWitt family was very respectful because of what you just talked about. John Mozeliak won a world championship in 2011. He finished with a winning record in 13 of 14 years. I mean, he had some success. And I think the DeWitt family wanted to respect him. And instead of firing, they allowed him to go out on his own terms. And this was the last year. And so they did it in a respectful way. We're going to transfer it to Heimblum. He's going to take over. He'll walk away. But at no time did Mo, and I talked to him in spring training with his designer socks and his vest that he always wears. It was very clear to me that he was planning to take a little time off, maybe travel, be with the kids, and then try to get right back into it. So although he wasn't fired, I think it was clear that ownership wanted to move on. And look, I would say something because, look, Mo did a great job in his career there. Mike Rizzo did a good job in Washington. But there is, without a doubt, something significantly different in baseball. And Mo said it in that interview, if you heard it, Scott, where he said, we used to get information in a year that we now get in a day to make decisions on all aspects of baseball. And that is true. And what we're finding is there are a lot of very successful GMs that have won world championships, like Mike Rizzo and John Mozeliak, that don't stay up with 2025. They're not ready for 2026 or 27, and they're getting beat. And I think that's the most important thing going forward is, look, you could do this job at age 80 if you wanted to, or 70 as Bruce Bochy is doing. You can do the job at any age, but you have to stay up with what's tomorrow and not live with what was yesterday, because this game is totally different in how you make decisions. So for Mo, yeah, it was probably time. Like for Mike Rizzo, it was probably time. You know, you look at how their organizations have been the last 5 to 7 years, time for a change, and that's okay.
Something that should be today is 3 baseball games, in my opinion. There should be 3 game 163s. It's one of the more memorable games that I played in my career. AJ said he lost one. I won one. Like, it is something that I think should be in baseball. 1, what is your opinion? 2, is there really a legitimate reason that Major League Baseball got rid of those?
Yeah, so I am with you, Erik, 100% on this one. And one of my favorite memories of my career as a GM was 1999, Mets-Reds in Cincinnati. We lost to Al Leiter's slider. Was completely nasty that day. That one game, 163, was one of the most amazing games that I've ever been a part of and enjoyed. And just that suicidal moment, win or go home, just the whole feeling of it. The entire season comes down to those 9 innings. There's nothing like it. And can you imagine how fun it would be today? Reds, Mets, again, 163. Oh, my God. Toronto Yankees for the division. Cleveland, Detroit for the division. I wanted it so bad. I didn't want a tiebreaker. I wanted them to decide today. And then to add on to that, then I would have had an off day tomorrow. And then I want 1 wild card game. I don't need 2 out of 3. I really don't. I don't think it proves the point of why we do it. Just have 1 game, and then we'll go to the next series after that. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the tiebreaker, to be honest with you. I would have loved 3 163s. That would have been great for the game, in my opinion.
I'm with you, JB. The other thing, if we're really just picking at things, I feel like this happens all the time now, is we get the Friday off, which bothers me because that's a prime time to take advantage when, you know, football starts to compete with you on Saturdays and Sundays. And it just bothers me that we don't have Friday playoff action. So if I were commissioner for a day, I would do a little tinkering. But anyway, let's get to the teams that don't get to play in that game 163 on the National League side. I will start with the Mets because of the payroll, because of the slow burn to the finish line here, and them really falling apart down the stretch. How shocked are you that this happened? And if you were running the team, how would you fix this?
Yeah, so for me, Scott, this one is pretty simple, right? I think in March when we looked at the Mets, what was our biggest concern? It was starting pitching. You know, you've got Soto, you got Lindner, you got Alonso, you got Viento, you got enough offense, right? You do. Defensively, you're going to be good enough. The biggest question is going to be, how's the rotation? And then they started off really hot, and you got to June, you actually lead in the league in ERA. But I remember all the years I was a GM, I would watch the Braves, and sometimes they were playing 500 in late May. Sometimes they had a 2-game lead in June or July, or they'd be a couple games out. But we always looked at them and we said, wait till August and September when all the starting pitchers get to starts 25 to 32, because Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz, Avery, Nagel, whoever is on the mound, they're going to blow the rest of us out, and they're just going to win. And that's what they did. And so I kept looking at the Mets the whole year going, okay, so what's going to happen with the starting pitching when we get to 25 to 32? Well, I mean, all the questions we had were answered. Like, Senga came back from the injury and then couldn't quite do it. Sean Manaea came back from the injury, then couldn't quite do it. Clay Holmes went from a reliever to a starter, and then he had a big hiccup come August, which is expected for a guy that's going from the bullpen to the rotation. And I kind of look at this as, yeah, it was expected. And then when you take a deep breath today and you look back over 162 games, and you look at the 3 teams that won the division in the National League. Milwaukee Brewers starting rotation finished with an ERA of 3.56. The Dodgers starting rotation finished at 3.69, and the Phillies at 3.53. The Mets finished at 4.13. There you go. That's it. Goodbye. Time to go home. That's it. You got to build the rotation. Now, the good news is Nolan McLean has shown he could be the ace of the team next year. Kodai Senga could get healthy, come back, and be the guy that we thought he would be. But at the end of the day, you've got to build a starting rotation. And I know it doesn't always work, right? The Yankees went and signed Max Fried. It worked. He's pitching game 1. He was an ace. Diamondbacks went and got Corbin Burns, and they didn't make the playoffs because he got Tommy John surgery. So I understand David Stern's position is he didn't want that risk, but he didn't build a good enough starting rotation to beat the Phillies. And I think if we all look back in March, I think almost all of us picked the Phillies to win because we looked at their starting rotation and said, you know what, it's just better than the Braves. It's better than the Mets. That's where it's going to be, and that's where it ended up.
This might be stupid, but when you were talking about this, you were saying David Stearns is going to do what David Stearns does. But with Steve Cohen money, is there a chance we see David Stearns making this like morphed, super expensive AAV type of contracts for pitchers that's going to start pushing the AAV up for starting pitchers because he hates the 5+ year contracts for pitchers?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, probably makes a run at Shane Bieber, overpays him, right? Probably gets him on a shorter term. I don't think he's going to, I think he's not going to give in on the 7-8 year deals, but those short-term big AAV, I think he's going to have to go back to it. Look, I know they're a little gun-shy because the Scherzer, Verlander signings didn't work out. They were also older pitchers at the time when they did that. But I think the good news for the Mets, and let's keep this in mind, because the great work that David Stearns is doing is down below, right? I think ESPN recently ranked the Mets the #1 farm system in baseball. Don't ignore what they're doing down below because that's how you win. That's how you can have success over and over again. So they're building that strong. They might be building it strong enough that they can trade some prospects to some small market teams to go grab some of their young, controllable starting pitchers. A team like the White Sox or the Athletics that are developing starters. Perhaps the Mets can do a 3-for-1, 4-for-1 kind of deals. Do that, then go to free agency, get a guy like Bieber. Maybe you spend the money on a Framber Valdez, a Bieber, then you trade from the farm system and you get Shane Smith from the White Sox, just as an example. But you will see David Stearns having to adjust because Steve Cohen, we saw his letter to the Mets fan base today. He's embarrassed, and he spent more money than any owner in the history of baseball on this team, and he committed over $1 billion last year, and he's going home, and the Reds are going to play the Dodgers. That's pretty embarrassing. So that means everyone has to adjust, and you have to adjust by doing things right. And by the way, it should start with Pete Alonso because they disrespected him last offseason. He agreed to a 1-year deal. He opted out today or said he was going to opt out today. And by the way, you're not going to get him on a 1-year deal again, so stop it, okay? He's going to get his 5-year deal at 30 years old. He deserves to get it. All he does is play 162 games every friggin' year. This is the second year that he's done it. Every year he hits around 40 home runs every single year. Yes, he's a below average defender at first base, but he comes with energy. He handles the New York market great. He's a great teammate, and the Mets need to take care of him and then go get all that starting pitching. And if they don't, by the way, he's not going to go back to New York on a short-term deal, and I think that would be a mistake by Steve Cohen and David Stearns.
I'm with you. I think he's a franchise player that you need to keep and let him retire as a Met. There's value there too, which they know. It's short-term and long-term value. Last one here. We got to finish with the Cincinnati Reds getting their way into October baseball. Last time the Reds won a postseason series, JB, was...
Yeah, 1995. We made it to the NLCS. I was actually the GM back then. And by the way, they're not going to win a series here either. So I'll be able to say that again next year as well. But let's give Terry Francona, Scotty, all the credit in the world, right? I mean, he's a future Hall of Fame manager for a reason. How did he get that lineup into the playoffs? Look, I know they have good young starting pitching. I like it. I'm a big L.A. De La Cruz fan. I love the development of Marte. He shows you flashes. TJ Friedel, gets this team going. I love his energy. Steers a really good, extra player here who can play all over the field. But at the end of the day, how does this line up in the playoffs? Come on. Really? So anyway, I'm looking forward to the series anyway. We all know anything can happen in baseball. The Rockies did not go 0-162 for a reason. The White Sox didn't go 0-162 for a reason. So perhaps maybe we can have a miracle and something can happen. Hunter Green on the mound. Dodgers haven't treated him great over the years. Nick Lodolo will pitch game 2 of this series. And Lodolo's had success. Remember that game in July when he punched out 11 Dodgers in 5 1/3 innings. So he has had some success against this lineup, which is good to watch. I'm glad the Reds are there. I'm happy for Terry Francona, Nick Krall, Brad Meter. I love all 3 of those guys. How they got here, I have no idea, but I'm really happy for the Queen City, Scotty.
That's right. That's right. As Ken Rosenthal said, it's the wild card presented by or brought to you by the New York Mets, that 3rd wild card spot. But hey, look at the Reds. They had some big games down the stretch here. JB, good stuff. Enjoy the wild card round. I know you get fired up for this time of year. So do I. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, AJ. Thanks, Erik. Appreciate you guys.
You too. See you soon. Okay, we're back. So our second BetMGM conversation of the day does not have to do with picks because we're going to do that tomorrow. There's no games today. We're going to look back quickly, 1 minute each, at our 3-season locks. 3-season locks. AJ's up first, okay? He went Marlins under 62.5 wins. That didn't happen. Marlins had a really surprisingly nice year.
They almost finished 500.
Yep. A's over 71.5 wins.
Yep.
Banger.
I said that one. And the White Sox, I said, the White Sox are all like, yeah, we won. We lost 19 less games. Well, you lost 121 last year, so it had to be better. And they still lost, 102. So they were 16-102. It was a 19-game improvement. So that one seemed easy for me too, just because 54.5. That's like those are his all-time historical years.
Mm-hmm.
When you lose 107 games, like that's ridiculous. So that's why they all seem. I mean, the Marlins. Hey, good for you, man. I tip my caps to the Marlins. You know what? You deserve a team picture after that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go real quick just because I had the Marlins as well. That was my loss. AJ and me were on the same page there, but it just was off. The Marlins really overachieved. Tigers and Brewers for me going over. And I picked the Brewers to win the division. That was probably my best little pick, which we'll get to those picks at the end of the show. But 2 out of 3 for AJ, 2 out of 3 for me. Kratz, 2 out of 3 for you. That's really strong. I know you got to wait a long time. You put in the money and then you wait. But if you rolled with us, you had a lot of success.
I feel like I shouldn't have bet with my heart on the Cardinals one. It was a spiteful pick. It was a spiteful pick by me, and I'll admit it now. I was wrong. The Cardinals overachieved. Felt like a high number for what I was looking at, but they did well. I didn't pick the Marlins like you guys because I felt like that pitching was going to do well. I didn't think it was going to do this well, and I disagreed. I took the under on the White Sox because I thought they were a worse team than they were the year before, but I was way off on that one too.
But that wasn't one of your 3 locks, so you went 2 out of 3. By the way, yeah, the Cardinals, Kratz, won 78 games. It's not like we looked at him and went, oh, well, they won 90. You were way off there, you know?
Not like the Marlins.
No, the Marlins was one where we were like, whoops, we missed.
But
thought that was going to be a 100-loss team.
was going to be way better too.
Yeah, the Braves crumbled early.
The Mets underachieved.
Mets underachieved big time.
That's where the extra losses didn't come in. They actually played really well against those teams.
Marlins love playing the Mets. They spoil them. What was it, 07 or 08? Mm-hmm. They love it. Good for them. All right, we got a few minutes to get to the Padres and the Cubs. And this just in for FT fans. Padres-Cubs post-game show live on the FT YouTube channel. So we're looking forward to that one. That game starts exactly when FT ends on Tuesday, 3 o'clock Eastern time, and then should end, 5:30-ish, depending on how things go. So we'll have a post-game show. Cade Horton out for this series, AJ. I cannot emphasize how much of a blow that is to the Cubs. Do you feel the same way?
Well, Shoto's pitching first, right?
Yep.
And then Boyd, I'm guessing.
Did they lay it out?
And then Taillon game 3?
Or bullpen Taillon, like Taillon plus bullpen action, short leash.
I mean, Cade Horton has been one of the best pitchers in the National League in the second half of the season. If you don't know his numbers, check him out before he hurt his ribs. Maybe remember when he pitched the game and we said, why did he only go 3 innings? Well, apparently he had a broken rib. We didn't know that. We thought they were just saving him, but he had broken ribs. And listen, he was one of the best pitchers in the second half in all of baseball. So, yes, this is a big blow for them.
He would have started game one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Imanaga hasn't been great, and Boyd hasn't been great in the second half either.
Do you know how it happened? He was sick, and then it was from like a cough or a sneeze or something like that, and then it messed up the rib. I'm like, damn, this kid has been electric in the second half of the season.
So good.
He's been the best rookie starting pitcher or best rookie pitcher in the National League. But Kratz, they won't have him. Do you think that affects things enough to tilt the way you look at this series? Yes?
I mean, I thought the Padres are going to win it anyway. I just think it would have been much tougher. You face a guy like that early, especially a guy, he doesn't strike out a ton of batters, and the Padres don't strike out. To me, that when those two things match up, that's when the advantage goes to the pitcher, in my opinion. Because when you face a team that doesn't strike out much and you have a guy that's relying on strikeouts, they just put the ball in play and that pitcher can't like play his game. I thought that was going to be a really tough matchup, and I thought he was going to go game one. And Shota gives them a different look, even though it's from the left side and they hit the lefties well. I thought the Padres have a slight advantage because of that bullpen shortening games. This definitely gives them a major advantage.
Padres don't hit lefties, I thought.
Padres don't hit lefties.
Don't hit lefties.
Did I say they do hit lefties?
The Padres don't hit lefties. That's the one thing they do have going for them is they have Imanaga and Boyd.
Right. So you try and kryptonite them with that.
Yes.
What did I say? Did I say they do hit lefties?
Yeah.
I was reading about Horton while you guys were chatting.
No, they don't hit lefties. The Padres don't hit lefties.
Right. And also, by the way, because I was looking at one of our Northside Territory guys, Patrick Mooney, said he's shut down for the foreseeable future with the fractured rib.
Yeah, I don't know when he's going to be back.
You got to be careful, too.
Jason Hayward has the highest batting average for the Padres versus lefties this year.
Where are you at? Hey, Jay,
They hit 244 with a 690 OPS versus lefties this year.
And they're a
team.
huge home road split team this year, the Padres.
Gigantic, yes. Well, actually the OPS and stuff is very similar.
But the wins.
Yeah, the win.
The record.
They're 38 and 43 on the road, 52 and 29 at home.
That's big.
That's more of what Petco is. Petco's
I understand.
freaking their place.
Yep.
That bullpen is tough.
I'm excited.
Who is it? Pavetta, Darvish, King? Is that what they're doing?
It's definitely Pavetta game
Pavetta's
one, as Schilt told us the other day.
No cease?
Cease? Well, look, they might have said it already. Obviously, they
haven't
haven't said it yet?
No.
Okay. So we'll see. Anyway, we're going to swing right back for Slap. We'll have an extended segment 2 on YouTube. So we'll see you in a sec. All right, we're going to look at the NL Pennant futures in a sec, but a wrap-up of Friday's locks, the final locks of the year. Pap hit, Todd Father hit, I hit. Kratz went big to try and get plus. Didn't happen. Where'd you get knocked, Kratz?
Oh, I got the reverse lock.
Oh,
Neither
hit.
hit.
Fade special. I hooked on my hit, by the way. They got to 9 runs in like 5 or 6 innings. They didn't score after that, but I was like, I mean, I'm not watching this game anyway. This is just for a lot. So AJ went huge on his final bet. He finishes up. Todd Father finishes up. Pap finishes up. I finished up. Kratz finished down.
Everyone was making fun of us for all being down. Yep. Mm-hmm.
4 out of 5 finished up.
Yep. Look where we ended up. Follow me, kids.
That's a strong performance.
Follow me.
But I'm saying,
not sure how I got
what?
to 471, but we'll have a recount. Because I think I was at like 330, and I only put down 105. So,
well, you can file a claim. File a claim with the team behind the scenes. Tell them to fix that because that money stays forever because it's going to reset tomorrow. But I want to spend a minute on the National League pennant futures because we did the American League. Just tell me if you think there's value anywhere. Phillies plus 210, Dodgers plus 290, Brewers plus 360, Cubs plus 650, Padres plus 700, Reds plus 1400.
I think Dodgers and Brewers, there's value, and you can make a case for both of them. Although the Brewers are so banged up right now, it's crazy. But they do get the week off.
Mm-hmm. What about the Padres?
Even the Dodgers at plus 290 is pretty big.
Yeah. What about the Padres if they sneak past? If they get past, not sneak,
Well, they
get past the Cubs, then you get some home games.
They get to play the Brewers.
I think they could beat the Brewers.
And then they get to play. Yeah, I mean, there's value in there. This is the 1 year American League. You definitely could see a way that all the teams make it. The National League, 5 of the 6, you could definitely. Sorry, Reds fan. I mean, the Reds. I'm sorry.
No.
I mean, I love the Reds. I love their fans, and I love Tito. I just don't know if there's a path for them, especially if they get into a longer series.
Padres plus 700. I think a bullpen can carry them. Obviously, stuff has to go right, but for any team, stuff has to go right. I think the Padres is the best value on that board.
Yeah, I like it. And I have a hard time seeing the Cubs make it through the whole October slog this year. That would be after the Reds. That would be a
Tucker
team.
came back, though.
He came back, but what's it going to look like?
Say is hot.
He is back.
Someone from not knowing where he was to back.
Hey, we just learned from Gabrielle Starr, does a great job covering the Red Sox, that Lucas Giolito will not be on the wild card roster. He's got an elbow issue. So he's going to see a doctor who performed surgery on him in March 2024 when he missed a year.
It hurts. He's been one of their best, so who's going to be the third starter? Because he was going to be their third guy with Bayo.
Bullpen
for game 3 in a wild card if it gets there?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can technically
This just
start.
puts more pressure on Crochet.
Yeah, you can start Tolley or early, or I would start Tolley without spending a lot of time on the research yet to see everything. Tolley at Yankee Stadium's not going to give a crap.
No.
In a good way. That's me. Also, we learned Torey Lovello's back for 2026. No surprise.
We knew that.
What he did with the Diamondbacks the last few weeks, come on.
Yeah, we knew that.
They sold half their team, and they were in
Plus
it
him and
almost to the
Hazen
finish
are
line.
super tight.
They are.
When you think Fair Harbor, you should think soft. You should think buttery liner. But it's not just the bathing suits or the shorts. It's also sweatshirts like the one that I'm wearing right now, Kratz. It is stupid soft.
It's ridiculous that a shirt that can, 1, keep you warm, 2, be so soft, and 3, so lightweight, like the collar, everything. You don't even feel like you actually have a hoodie on, but you do.
It is a lightweight hoodie, and it feels incredible. So you should go get one yourself. Also, for bathing suits, for shorts, for whatever clothes that you're interested in where you want to basically feel like you're not wearing them, but you are, that's what Fair Harbor can bring to the table. So head to fairharborclothing.com/foul20 and use code FOUL20 for 20% off your order. That's Fair Harbor, HARBOR, clothing.com/foul20 for 20% off your order, and make sure you use that promo code FOUL20.
Yeah, my voice sounds great for that ad. Let's just keep running it. I had COVID for those few days up north, and Kratz and Todd Father didn't get it, so we're good. Fun fact. I was fine.
I just didn't want to.
Yeah, you just chose not to. 2 things I want to get to. One is run differential. Now that the season's over, I would like to bring up how fucking stupid run differential is. Cleveland won the division. -6. Kansas City didn't make the playoffs. +14. Toronto won the division. plus 77. Second place, Yankees, plus 164. Third place, Boston, plus 110. Remember the other day when Toronto lost 20-1 and didn't give a shit? That's 20 or 19 runs against their run differential. Run differential is so stupid. What does it tell you? This team's probably good. This team's probably not.
What does it tell you?
I think WAR is at least a little better.
Except no one can figure out how it's calculated, and there's two different ones. So choose your one. But other than that, it's a great stat.
Do you agree?
Everyone should rely on everything for it.
Do you agree run differential is
I think
stupid?
run differential gives you somewhat of a broad outline of much like WAR gives you a broad outline of who's good. By the way, do you know who led the National League in WAR this year?
Perdomo?
Yeah.
For Fangraphs, is that where you're going off of?
Yeah.
Which one?
I don't know. One of them. Perdomo. You could have bet a lot of people that don't know baseball a lot of money that he would have led the league in WAR, the National League, over Shohei.
You're right. Shohei wasn't even second in the National League. You know who was second?
No.
Trey Turner, who just came back, by the way, for the Phillies, won the batting title.
Yeah.
Because we didn't get to talk about the Phillies much. Aaron Nola, 8 innings, so the Phillies didn't get much attention the last few days, but
Phillies are a problem.
they're a problem. Dodgers territory is going to try and figure out the bullpen situation. So they need 30 minutes for that. Kratz.
Christopher Sanchez has a higher WAR than Paul Skeens, so he should win the Cy Young.
Pitching WAR, don't get me started. Why Yankees today?
Because they're the hottest team going into the playoffs, and that matters zero.